everybody, what's going on? Today's video is basically that what my thoughts of Disneyland and the frustrations, because people ask me like, how was it? There's a lot of frustration that goes on. I will say right now, I am not a big Disneyland person as I would say that I used to be, because I did at one point in time have the passes when they were much cheaper, and Emily could have got in free and stuff. So the first thing that I didn't like about what I don't like about the frustration on Disneyland is the a-hole people that go and show up and they go and run over your kids. They don't care anything regarding about your kids and the safety of them. They rather run them over, and literally the person in front says, hey, no running, walk there. I mean, and if you're in front of the actual line in front of a lot of people, you're going to be almost one of the first people there anyway. So you don't need to run. We were going to Star Tours. There's a group of kids kind of like wedging themselves between me and other people. And of course, me being me, and don't make me mad or anything like that, because you're at that age where you're probably like 15, 16 years old, and you're trying to wedge somebody. You're not saying sorry or anything. Your parents are behind you, and you're trying to wedge your body between me and 15 other people that are in front, and basically I'm going the length, the width with everybody else. And so what happens is that, I'm kind of like pushing back, like, excuse me, I'm walking here, daughter's walking here, everybody's like walking the same amount. Stay with your family. Okay? Serious. Stay with your family, know the role, slow it down a little bit, like the person sat there and told you. You know how to follow directions. You're not 4 years old. Also, the fact of it's just people don't care. They rather go and run other people over. They're inconsiderate. They don't say, hey, I'm sorry, or excuse me. A lot of people did. Don't get me wrong. There is a lot of people that do that, but a lot of people don't. And it's kind of like, hey, you know what? You paid this amount of money to come in the park. You better have common courtesy for other people coming into the park too, or you're going to get a talking to, and it's not going to be very nice. I mean, it is not Toys R Us where you can go and run amok and run people over, or Walmart or something like that. You're at an amusement park. Everybody should be enjoying everybody's time and experience there. Just slow it down. I mean, it opened up at 8 o'clock in the morning. It's not like you can't get in there, and it closed at midnight. Like, how many hours do you have total? Like, come on. Really? Like, even when I was younger, and if I went there, I did not do that. I kind of like slowed it a little bit, waited, and pretty much for what everybody had to for the line, and was considerate of other people. But then there's some people that's not. Another big thing that was frustrating on the fact, and I've already expressed it, I don't know how many times that I've gone there. I've never really go and put it out there on how I feel. But the single rider line that's at Disneyland or whatsoever is a bunch of crap. I don't know how many people that I've seen go in there. That's probably like a group of like 5 or 6 that go in there, and they say that they're single rider. They're not single rider. They're basically cutting in line so they don't have to wait 60 minutes or less for the ride so they don't have to wait. Okay. That's another thing that I don't like, is the fact that you have the handicapped people. We had a pass for, there was a pass for Emily because of her ADHD, that, you can go and go up to handicap and get the pass because of, the disability and how she can really go and melt down, which she did. And just, they tell you to go like within the length of the line. So it's like, oh, okay, come back in 45 minutes, come back in an hour, come back, whenever. So they give you a time to come back. You come back within that period of time. Then you go to the exit. And this was at Indiana Jones. And then I noticed for like Indiana Jones, like we were like with the handicap. So there was like 3 or 4, 5, maybe 5 different groups in front of us for Indiana Jones. And the person that was doing the single rider, there's the regular line, and then there's a giant, huge like single rider line that's separate. And you go and show your tag and say, hey, you know what? Here's a single rider, and you can go from there. After that, what happens is that the person goes and gives you, your ticket. You go there, you wait in the handicap spot, line. The person waits at the, single rider line type thing. So the person that's grouping goes and says, okay, 5 or 6 people, wait, go through the single file line as the single rider. So the person that's grouping is letting 6-7 different people go on the single rider line and nobody in the handicap, and lets everybody for the single, the regular waiting in line, type thing or type line, go ahead and go and go ahead and go through the previous line, and so they don't have to wait. The fact of the handicap that I didn't like is the guy would, like I said, he would let 5, 6, 7 different people go in front. That's a single rider. And for us and the handicap, it would just be one group. And then here comes everybody else. So he would let another 30 to 40 people in the regular line go. And then here comes the single rider, and he would let 5 to 6 other people go. And then here comes a smaller group of the handicap, the handicap line. I don't agree to that, due to the fact of, if you're a single rider, let one person go, or 2 or 3. Don't let 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 people go. And then us in the handicap, we already had to wait. We had to come back. If you go through the single rider line, all you have to do is say, okay, I'm a single rider. You get your single rider ticket. You walk up. You probably would have to wait maybe a total of 5 to 10 minutes compared to the hour. If you're the handicap, you're waiting the hour plus additional time to get on. Don't get me wrong, it says on the handicap that says that, you will not be put on immediately or anything. I understand that point. It's just the fact of the waiting just to have the other the single fight or the single riders go in front of you kind of irks me a little bit, because they're just walking up. And the fact that saw there was this little girl that's smaller than Emily, and saying that she's a single rider is a bunch of BS. And that employee needs to go and call out, saying, this person might be tall enough, but I don't think that they should be riding alone in a single rider line. Which gives me to the second point. If you go on Indiana Jones, you're walking up to a different point, and you can easily bypass. You can easily sit there and pull your single rider pass down, put it in your pocket. That person might not even see it, and saying, oh, you guys are single rider, you can say no and walk all the way around, and you don't even have to wait. But there's everybody else in the handicap that has to wait. And you go through what happens after that. We went through. Then you get into the elevator. So there was other single riders that were with us, because they go through the elevator too. And there was probably like a group of 6 or 7 of them. This is after the ride breaks down. We're all smashed into the elevator. And these people sat there and tried to go and cut in line in front of us because the handicap and the single rider line basically merge into one part, which I think is totally wrong due to the fact of hey, these people are single riders, they should go to a different line, while us in the handicap, we should go to a different line because of the weight. And also, we're not single riders, it's our group. So if the single riders are going in the same as the group, they went and tried to cut in front of us so they can get on, and their time to waiting is shorter, which I think is a lot of BS. That's my rant. That's what I got. This was frustration that people are really inconsiderate. And like I said, and the people that did this at Indiana Jones were probably about like 18 to 21 years old. So they knew exactly what was going on. They're trying to smush in, trying to, have my daughter get, smash in and kind of like frustrate me even more. And I was like, mad dogging a couple of them and like staring them down. And I wasn't too happy with the situation because I felt that our handicap section was being overlooked, where it was regular line and the single rider line, and he would just like let one group of the handicap go through, which was like 3 people, but he was letting more people on the single rider line going, and they're only single riders. Technically, there's only single riders, but I already knew that they would be in a group, and it kind of like irked me a little bit, where I was like, you know what, these people they're not single riders, they're all one form of regular group, and why should we have to wait longer than them? And the fact that I noticed for the single riders is that some of the people that were helping them out, the person that was in charge of the line construct, that they were like sitting there and letting 3 or 4 of them go into a regular row, and they were all one group, and you can tell that they were one group, and they were trying to like shorten the line, which I consider a lot of bull, because they're not going to. Who cares about the line? They weren't even waiting 60 minutes or 45 to 60 minutes anyway. They're waiting like 5. I don't know if this video makes any sense. It's just one of the things that I consider like really ticked off about Disney. They go and charge you $150 a ticket. Their customer service is like, yeah, okay. It's just one of those things that's like, hey, you know what? We're going. Why not have the entire? Get rid of the single rider line. Have them like seriously wait, because they're one giant family. And I never understood, like, okay, there's a single rider, and they let this single rider go in before they even called another group, which I think is kind of bull, because it's like, why are you letting that person on, and everybody who's behind them is waiting like the 60 minutes or 45 or whatever the time is. And for them, they just walk all the way down. They stand in, like I said, about like 5 to 10 minutes or something like that. And then they go through, and then they go up the elevator. They come back down the other side, and they're probably waiting like maybe 1 or 2 cars that has like a couple of seats available, and then they're automatically on. But some of these people, they go and abuse the fact of the single rider policy, and I think that Disney should sit there and go, I see you talking to that person, you're not a single rider, you need to go wait in line. Single rider is one person and one person only. It means the fact that if you're a parent and you have somebody that's a child that can't get on the ride, that's too small, the other parent should be allowed to get on and go through the exit. It's a parent swap. I see that happening because you're a single rider, you're doing it. But of course, if you're doing the parent swap, they don't allow you to do that either. You have to wait the length of the line, even though it's one person, for that to happen. I don't understand that. You'll let a family of 6 or something like that get on as a single rider, and not let a single parent get on and do your baby swap and have the other parent go through the exit. And that exit, they're going to have to wait anyway through the single rider. But that's, you have to wait to link the line. Well, why? Because it's one person. You're using the other, but technically you're the one person. The other person's come in, so you can say, well, I'm a single rider, but they don't allow that. You still have to wait to link the line because you're parent swapping. Don't know about that. All right, that's my rant. Disneyland's still overhyped. It was all right. Took Emily because she didn't want to go to Magic because her school was starting a month earlier. Disneyland's $150 a ticket. They will probably raise it up a little bit more. I will do another video on Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, which I'll do a little bit of teaser. It's okay. I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I wasn't blown away. So that's for the next video. Stay true, and every day's Halloween.